We are live with another episode of Comic Talk. It's that show brought to you by The Key where we talk about this week's new comic book releases. New comic books come out in comic shops every Wednesday, whether they're DC, whether they're Marvel, whether they're indie. They all come out on Wednesdays at your local comic shops. Go to comicshoplocator.com, find a comic shop near you where you could pick up any of the comics that we're talking about and comics from previous weeks, because that's how comic shops work. Nothing in the future. It's not too often you get future comics, but you get present and past comics at your local comic shops. Support local comic shops. But yes, they come out every Wednesday, and we are here on a Thursday with about 24 hours to talk about all the comics that we read that came out this week. I'm your host, Dimithri Perera. And if you're watching us live, you're watching us on youtube.com/The Keeg Show or twitch.tv/The Keeg Show. Sure. We used to be Twitch before YouTube, but then Twitch enacted a limit to how much video you could save, and YouTube doesn't have that limit. So now, for any Keeg episode, whether it's Comic Talk or any of the other shows we do, you can go to youtube.com/The Keeg Show and watch it either live or some of the backlog that we have. Anyway, if you're watching us live, you can see who our guests are. If you're listening to the podcast, wherever you get podcasts from, you can't see who our guests are. So let's introduce them as usual. Regular on the show, we got Ethan, aka Virgo Blade.
What up? What up? What's good?
Not much. How's Virgo Blade LLC Incorporated and company doing?
Pretty good. Still growing, still moving along, doing a bunch of videos. Of course, talking comics. Loved Absolute Flash. Gonna get into that. Can't wait for it. And yeah, just same old, same old.
I'm glad to have you on. You are consistent not only with your TikTok content, but you're consistent on this show. You read a lot. You talk a lot. Thanks.
Yeah, that's my personality. I do too much. That's kind of my brand. Is like, hey, whatever is enough, do more.
Yeah, because then it becomes normal. You get, you keep working your way up, and then it's like, oh, but I can squeeze a little bit more in there.
Precisely. I can, hurt myself in order to this work.
Yeah. So first thing, don't hurt yourself. But second, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Being a regular on it. We also got Drew, aka Drew Deficit, spelled Drew X Deficit. The X is for the X in his last name.
That's not true, actually.
No, probably not. Drew.
Have I never told you what the X is for?
It's like for CrossFit or something.
No,
X-Men.
It's not.
It's for extra gene or whatever the X-Men are named after.
Nope, that's not it.
No, what is it?
The X is for it's the universal indicator of straight edge.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think you told me about that. Does that still? That's like, I remember straight edges being a thing back in the day. It's like is it still a movement?
It never was a movement. It's I got a lot of opinions about that. Have me on when we talk about punk bands, and then we can get into that.
That's when I'm spreading myself too thin, is when I create a music podcast.
when you have punk talk.
Yeah, because that's me being like, Dimithri, you gotta figure out where your interests are. I've thought about talking about just world news, and I'm like, no, I can't. I'm not gonna do a podcast about world news. We're talking comics here. Got to stay niche.
Yeah.
Niche.
Niche down.
Yeah.
That's what I say.
A lot of comics came out this week, right? Was it pretty
It felt like a pretty big week, yeah.
It was very heavy.
For both DC and Marvel?
Me more DC, but there were a couple Marvel that I enjoyed. But just for my personal picks were more DC.
Yeah. I have some opinions on where I am in the, as of, May 22nd, 2025, which is when this episode is airing. I have some opinions on what's coming out right now and what I'm digging more than others, but that's what this show's for.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about all that. Drew, what about you?
I mean, Yeah, same. Big DC week. I had a couple Marvel titles. I had a couple Image titles.
Hmm.
But like I was saying before we started airing, I'm behind on everything. Like it's just been really hard for me to find the time to read stuff lately. So
Yeah.
this was kind of nice. It's the end of the school year, and so like I didn't really have a lot of work to do today at work. And so I was able to kind of like read throughout the day. But even then, like I was finishing up reading like the last thing right before I hopped on this call with you, and
Mhm.
I didn't even get to everything. So.
I mean, we never do, right? Like, does
um,
any of us feel like we? Because it's not just that we have to read the books that came out this week. We have to read in like 24 hours to do this show properly, right?
Hmm.
Like, do any of us complete our whole list ever?
No, I don't think I ever have. If I do, it's like one of those weird like fifth weeks in a month where nothing comes out.
Yeah.
I feel like I complete mine, but also I feel like usually my weeks aren't too heavy. This week was probably the heaviest that there's ever been for me
Mm.
personally.
Yeah.
And I did finish it just because once again doing too much thing. And so I was able to finish and also get a few more in. But it was also a light week for me in terms of work, so I was able to kind of squeeze those in.
That's. I mean, that's. It's always nice when you can like set your pace and then actually hit it.
Hmm.
Especially with the amount of reading that we all do. So I do want to know what our reading lists are for this week, but I also want to know, and this is a little added thing, if there were any books that came out this week that you wanted to read that looked cool, whatever, but just didn't get a chance to. You know, maybe that's the only time we shout them out, but like that's the top of the episode. You know.
Hmm.
Um. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to get to I think it was Spider-Man and Wolverine.
Mm,
Um, and mainly because that was a number one, and I also kind of jumped on the Amazing Spider-Man comic, and I'm really enjoying that. And I wanted to see like their dynamic, and where they were going to go with it. So that was the main one that I wanted to get to.
but you
And
didn't get to.
right,
Mm,
yeah.
that's fair.
So disappointed in myself, but it's fine.
What did you get to? What is your what made your list that you read this week?
The whole list or the added ones?
Everything that you read this week.
Okay. I did Amazing Spider-Man number 4, Exceptional X-Men number 9, Detective Comics number 1037,
Mm-hmm.
Batman Superman World's Finest number 39, Zatanna number 4, Superman Unlimited number 1, Absolute Flash number 3, Nightwing number 126, and New Gods number 6.
Nice. There's a lot of overlap, by the way. Spoiler alert for anyone watching us. If you're watching us live, you're watching us on Twitch or YouTube. Let us know you're out there. Like, comment, subscribe, follow, do your thing. But shout out so we know that you're watching. And if you're listening to the podcast, do the same thing. Let us know you're out there. Write a review or whatever. But what was I going to say is all three of us have a pretty good overlap this week. So I think that's extra interesting. But okay, good list. Drew, what did you get to this week?
So this is what I got to. I read Superman Unlimited. I read New Gods number 6. I read Wonder Woman 21. I read Absolute Flash number 3. I read Detective Comics number 1097. I read Nightwing 126. From Image, I read Spectrum number 6.
Nice. Okay.
And if there's one book there, I got about like 5 books in front of me that I didn't even get to.
Uh-huh.
Most of them are things that like I know that I want to read and I've been picking up. I just haven't even started the series yet.
Yeah.
One of those being the one I'm going to shout out is Bug Wars, the Image Comics book.
Yeah.
Um, I literally have not read a single issue of this. This is number 4, and I picked it. I started picking it up because it was a new one by Jason Aaron, and I love Jason Aaron's creator-owned stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, I know that I'll probably like it. I just haven't cracked it open yet.
Mhm.
I mean,
And like my collection is in such disarray right now
yeah.
that like I have no idea where 1 through 3 are in my home. I'm tomorrow's my last day of school, so for me, it's like my goal for the summer is write a lot and also get like things in order.
I mean, those are good goals.
Yeah,
Write and read and clean,
write, read, and just organize. Yeah.
organize.
But like I'm a terribly disorganized person. Like I've lost relationships over it. That's how disorganized I am.
I mean, I get it. I don't know whether I could pinpoint why I've lost relationships to one single thing. So that's good that you have you can you know it's because of that. But
I wish that it was because I was ugly, right? Because
yeah.
like I can't fix being ugly, but I also don't feel like I also know I can't fix it. Being disorganized, I can't fix it, but I'm like, man, I sure wish like I feel like I should be able to.
So I thought you were going a different direction with this because what I was gonna say is that you're not ugly and you wish it was because you were ugly because you're not ugly and that'd be an easier thing to do. But no, you're not ugly. Shut up, dude. I
That's
can't tell.
visual humor.
I can't.
That's
Yeah,
visual humor for the people watching.
for people who are listening to the podcast, they're like, there was just this break in audio for a little bit, and then people watching the podcast are like, yeah, did Drew's mic short out? No.
It was 23 seconds of silence so I could listen to the chorus from Bring Me to Life by Evanescence. That's a reference to The Rehearsal on HBO if you've seen it.
I've yet to watch it, but I watched his other show on, I forget what it's called.
Comedy
But
Central
what's that?
when he did Nathan for You.
No, he did one with Emma Stone.
Oh, The Curse.
The Curse, yeah. So I planned on watching that, but I mean, I like Evanescence, so I clocked in for that.
Yeah. Let me just put it this way to anyone is that uh I don't invite uggos on Comic Talk, you know? So if you're here, it's because you're beautiful people inside and out.
Pretty privilege.
You know? Yeah, that's what
what
it
it's called.
is. Yeah,
Mhm.
you know?
That's gonna be the new comic talk. No
Yeah.
uggos allowed.
Yes. You
Right.
must serve face. It is mandatory.
It makes it sound like it's super exclusive, but that's not the case. I just don't want horrible people inside
Mhm.
to come. But luckily, we all lucked out. We're beautiful inside and out. So as we vamped, that was me loading images for this episode. So I've loaded them all up. But what did I get to this week? What did I get to? Absolute Flash 3, Batman Superman World's Finest 39, Nightwing 126, Superman Unlimited 1, Exceptional X-Men 9, Amazing Spider-Man 4, Detective Comics 1097, Wonder Woman 21, Ultimates 12, Fantastic Four 32, Titans 23, DC X Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and then I got a couple pages into Superior Avengers 2, but I don't think that counts as reading the whole issue. But I tried.
That's what counts.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Is like, what are your guys' pick of the week? I wonder if we overlapped.
Mine is Absolute Flash, if you couldn't tell. I'm very hyped for this book. I don't know, it's hitting all the right notes for me personally. Like, I love the emotion of it. I love the fast pacedness of I like that it's like high speed, but you still care. And like he's crashing out from one event to the next. And also like what happens to Barry Allen in this book was very dark, very morbid, very messed up. And I loved it. It felt very absolute universe coded, and it really goes in a direction that like I don't see coming, but also it makes sense for the story. And also Grodd, like talking about like I never thought that I'd be such a big fan of this psychic pet monkey, but I'm in love with Grodd.
Yeah.
And this is the world that we're living in now. So that was dope. Yeah, I just love the art style is frenetic, it's alive, it's colorful. Yeah, I just really, really am digging this book.
I liked it. I thought first things first, I think that these first three issues are like all one story, right? It's like one arc. And
Hmm.
I'm glad that it didn't pull the origin story past three issues. Like, this is its like clean, concise arc. At the same time, I think Absolute Flash is like one of the two weaker Absolute titles in the Absolute DC kind of launch, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means like the other ones are a little bit stronger. Um, I liked this issue though, but you're right. It's because of Grodd. I liked it because of
Hmm.
Grodd. I
Yeah.
still can't make sense of what's going on in this book.
What's confusing?
He's seeing two timelines, right?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
like, yeah.
He's like getting vision. Is he getting visions of two timelines, or is he in two timelines?
I think he's in two timelines, but he doesn't really know what's going on.
Okay. So that was the confusing part. Is like, is it literal? Is it not? Is Bruce Willis dead the whole time? Like, is there going to be a twist? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I mean, after the end of last issue where he like kind of sees his darker version,
Yeah.
it feels like, you know, two roads diverged situation. And so I do believe that like the flash of like two worlds and he's having to decide what path he's gonna be on. But to be honest, like I like the mystery of it. Like I don't need to have all the answers now, and I like that not everything is being given to us because it feels fresh and new.
Mm.
Similar to Absolute Wonder Woman does a really good job of like introducing you to things that you didn't know that you wanted. And I feel like Absolute Flash to a lesser degree, but it still is giving me that. Like with Grodd, like with the Rogues and finding things out about Barry Allen and then him coming into his own and facing his problem head on and then becoming the Flash. Like I was very impressed by how the arc all came together.
Yeah. I like it. I believe in it. I
Mhm.
believe in all the Absolute books, even the weaker ones, because they're still great. It's just hard to compete with the senior class.
And I
The
like
you
that
know
it's doing something else. It's kind of like in a different way, but like Absolute Martian Manhunter. It like exists in its own sphere, and that's what I like about Absolute because it almost feels like unjust to compare. And it's like you can compare in terms of like level of greatness, but it's so different that it doesn't like coexist. If that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Drew, did you read this one?
I did. Um, I I really, but I mean, you mentioned Ethan. You mentioned Absolute Martian Manhunter. I really like the kind of higher concept approaches that both of this and that Martian Manhunter book are taking to the kind of bringing to a mainstream superhero comic. Like this one is, I haven't quite figured out what Wally's powers are, but the way that it's represented on the page, I think is awesome.
Yeah,
I love the way that like the art is really like kind of telling that part of the story while the text is really like honing in on what is Wally feeling, you know?
Hmm.
Um, it's it's been really cool. I was noticing one of the things that I noticed in the book that I just thought was fun, um, is you know how like there's the sort of like I don't even really know what you would call it. It's like the you know where the like his powers are kind of like breaking the panels apart. Um, and you have like you know like the almost like pixelation that's going around, but it's like it's not pixelation. It's just it's big boxes that are
it's the
kind of like going
speed. Are we
across.
talking about the speed, like where they're like rectangular,
Yeah,
like
yeah, kind of
strips?
yeah.
Mm.
Um, I really like that those are affecting the uh like the speech bubbles and the
Yeah,
lettering. Um, it's just a little detail, but I like that that's in there, you know. It quite literally is like encompassing every part of the book. Um, yeah, it's really cool. I like this take on the rogues so far.
yeah.
Um, I like they mentioned Firestorm in this issue. I think, or in the second issue,
In the
maybe.
second issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They said something about, like Raymond and yeah, I mean, kind of is just opening up all these possibilities for what else is out there in the Ultimate Universe or the Absolute Universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, they name dropped somebody else in this issue. Did you guys notice?
Mhm. Eobard Thawne.
Well,
Oh yeah,
is
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
is it Eobard? Or is it just Thawne? We just know. I just saw
Oh yeah,
Thawne.
yeah. Technically Thawne. I'm jumping ahead,
Yeah.
i.e. Flash.
Yeah.
And calling him because I really want him, even though like he is one of the most sickest, like twisted villains that has ever existed, and I'm afraid to think of what he will be in the absolute universe. Because if he's a menace in the main line, then what's he going to be here? But yeah, I'm hoping that it's Eobard.
Yeah. But he doesn't look like him, right? He looks like Paul from Spider-Man, right? Is it that
Right?
guy?
Yeah.
That guy's on the computer screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has
Yeah.
glasses and like long black hair
Mm-hmm.
and a
I mean, that
beard,
could
I
just
think.
be to throw us off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's gonna like rip off his hair, and it's gonna be a streak of blonde.
And it's yeah. And he's still behind everything that went wrong. It was me
Mm-hmm.
the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah. Um I really liked I love the art in this. I think I'm not paying attention to this as I read it, like as much as I need to be paying attention. And I think what it is this book and Absolute Martian Manhunter are the two most bonkers books in the Absolute line.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
think that on the flip end of the spectrum, Absolute Green Lantern is the most safe, and they played it too safe. And then the three in the middle that are good amount of bonkers versus playing it safe is Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, where I'm like, I'm very comfortable in that middle part. Absolute Green Lantern needs to take more risks. I love Absolute Martian Manhunter, and then Absolute Flash. Yeah, it's like, I think it's just like my brain is hurting a little bit.
Need to
It's
be in that Goldilocks zone.
Yeah.
I think that it's gonna be one of those ones that like once it's in trade and you're able to read it just like all in one go, it might make a little bit more sense. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong. I'm getting every single Absolute book in trade.
yeah,
I am
Mhm.
I yeah, I'm a completionist, and also like when I believe in an imprint like this, like Absolute and whatnot, I'm getting everything.
Mhm.
So I'll be there.
Same. Same. Yeah.
Shout out to we got a viewer in the chat on YouTube. Val says, I'm not really into Flash comics enough to bother reading Absolute Flash. That said, the only Absolute title I like is Absolute Superman. Which is fair. I think you don't have to read all the Absolute books. Just like in the Marvel stuff, you don't have to read all the Ultimate books. You find the one that like you vibe with. I'm sure there are some people that are just reading Absolute Martian Manhunter and like that's it.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah. I'm
Again, a
reading
bonkers
everything.
book. What'd you say?
I'm reading everything. Everything absolute. If it has an absolute in the title, I'm reading it.
Yeah.
I am picking up everything. I have not started Green Lantern yet.
Mm.
All the other ones I've started, I've fallen behind on them, but that one, like for some reason, I like didn't read that one the first week, and now I'm behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that one gets the most like hate. And like it's not my favorite, but I'm also gonna let them cook.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing signs, there's some like positivity, some potential. Also, like this one made me feel bad for Guy Gardner, which never happens because I don't like that dude.
Yeah.
Like if he existed, we would not be cool. And so that's never happened in comics. So I'm open to see where this is gonna go.
All right.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of my pick of the week. Drew, did you have a pick of the week?
I do. It's Spectrum.
Okay.
Spectrum's awesome.
I didn't prep the image for that, but if you want to talk about it, who's the publisher?
It's Mad Cave.
Okay.
It's Mad Cave. It's by Rick Quinn with art by Dave Chisholm, who has he's become a friend of mine, and that's I've we became friends because I learned about his books, and then I was just like, man, everything you do is awesome. And then we just kind of like became friends through the internet because of that. And even if he wasn't a friend of mine, I would very much be singing the praises of this book. Um, it's like so this it was a 6 issue miniseries, so this is the last issue. Um, Dave, almost every project that he does is somehow music related because he's like a jazz musician
Uh-huh.
who also is an artist. Um, and like this book is uh, it's about a girl who gets it's not really like superpowers, but she gets the ability to like transcend time and space because of music. Um, and kind of the way that it's described is like, if you're listening to a song in, 2025
Hmm.
in Louisiana, and somebody in 1973 is listening to that same song on the other side of the world, you've created a connection.
Mm.
That completely like it is not bound by normal, conventional time and space boundaries,
Yeah.
And then there's also like there's a character who is coming to like destroy humanity because of this connection. Um, it's also very high concept.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Sounds very original.
Yeah, it is like it's really cool. The Dave's art, like he plays with layouts in a really interesting way. I've always loved the way that he portrays music on the page. He usually does it through different colors and different shapes. He's done a couple books that are like biographies of jazz players. He did one about Charlie Parker. He did one about Miles Davis,
Mm.
and then some other like blues related stuff.
Mm.
This one is the first in a while that's not something he wrote, Andrew, and also something that's like just straight up 100% bonkers fictional, you know? Um, yeah, it's so fun. Lots of playing around with color, lots of playing around with shapes,
Hmm.
and layouts on the page. Um, Another one of those ones, much similar to Absolute Flash, where like there are times when I'm reading it, and I'm just like, I don't know if I'm understanding what it is that I'm reading,
Yeah.
but I know that I really like it.
Right. That's how I feel about Absolute Martian Manhunter. By the way, I did, for anyone watching us live, I did find the cover for Spectrum 6, so it is up on the screen. But it sounds like the scene from Sinners. Is it like
It
the is it like that scene that like
that
transcends
is
time?
That is actually kind of a pretty apt comparison. After Sinners came out, I did a video on TikTok that was like, "Hey, if you liked Sinners and you want other stuff like that, uh, like you want to read comics that are very similar." And I had like a few that I thought kind of fit the vibe. I wish that I would have talked about this one because while it is more science fiction and it's not horror, uh, it really does have that kind of like musical connection.
Okay. All right.
I have to check that out.
Yeah, the trade will be coming out soon. It's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I tend to love like high concept stuff like that. So when you were describing it, I was like getting excited. So I'm gonna have to pick it up.
I wish that I could say more about the plot, but it is it feels very out there that I
Mhm.
almost don't know that I can explain it.
Mm. That means it's very good. Because like I like stories where it's like I don't have to have all the answers, and sometimes I have to like reread it to
Yeah.
fully grasp what it's saying. Because also at the same time, when elements are too simplistic, I tend to get bored, or like if I see something coming, sometimes like I've stopped reading a story if it's become too predictable. So
Hmm.
I like it when there's like that tenaciety with it.
You're very good. No, I don't think that this gives too many spoilers, but I'm gonna like hold up. some of the pages. So hopefully you can see it, but it's like,
Oh,
he
wow.
does like this character, her big plot points or like the big beats on this page are
Mhm.
all very round and circular, whereas like on this page, this other character, everything is very square bound, and then the
Mm.
circular stuff is happening in the middle, and it's just kind of like they're playing around with the way that you can actually show stuff on the page. Um, it's very surreal. Uh, One thing that I noticed is that the character who is kind of set up to be the main character doesn't really feel like the main character to me. Instead, this character who's introduced in issue 2 kind of feels more like like the person the story is actually about, you know?
Mm.
Mhm. It's interesting.
Um, we'll see if I can understand it. I was trying to think of there was a comic that I started like a week or two ago that I opened the first couple pages and I was just like, I can't continue. I forget what comic it was, but it was almost too much, like too much text, too much like and it's like comics rely on art and words, sure, but I'm like I can't handle this right now, and I think I pushed it away. I forgot about it. So
That is one of the biggest problems that I run into when I'm writing comics. Like, I will put so much dialogue down because I feel like I didn't get my point across. And so then we'll get to the lettering process and I'll be like, this is too much. I need to fix this, you
yeah,
know? And at that
Mhm.
point, it's like kind of late in the process.
and then what are you gonna do? I don't mind speech bubbles with a lot of words because I can imagine that. I feel enveloped in the dialogue. Like I'm like in my head, it's two people talking, right? Especially I love it when it's bubbles on bubbles on bubbles and they're back and forth, right?
Mhm.
They're like latticed, right? But when there's boom, exposition in a block,
Yeah.
boom, and I'm like, oh, it's tiring to me. But
It can be, yeah. Yeah, I
yeah.
get it.
I was trying to figure out what my pick of the week is, and I think it's gonna be Batman Superman World's Finest 39. And um it wasn't an easy pick for me to make, but I just really like Mark Wade. I really like what's going on here. I feel like a long time DC fan like me, I I can make sense of all this stuff, and then I'm like, oh, I'm learning new things, and I'm seeing all the different timelines of like Batman, Superman, Dick Grayson, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not confused by it. I can follow it. The art is gorgeous. It's still Dan. It's not still Dan Mora, right? Or is it?
It is no, this is Clayton Henry.
Yes, Clayton Henry. Um, and so it's been a delight. So I don't know how much to talk about it other than like I'm wondering what the ramifications are with We Are Yesterday. Um, I feel right now what DC is doing is really setting up like that they're not dodging canon. That they're like, no, we're gonna tell you what is in continuity now. Like we are going to hammer it out because they were dodging it for so long. They were like, yeah, who cares about continuity? Everything is possible. Anything is possible. Um, and then now they're like with Summer of Superman and all the like reintroducing like Crypto's origin story and the changing of Superboy and like Supergirl has her new #1 that came out last week. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do that. And then the new history of the DC universe, which comes out in like a month or something, like
Yeah.
they're really settling on no, this is in stone how the universe is. I like that. That's what I live for.
Yeah, I feel like going into this, I feel like my expectations were too high because
Yeah.
like I didn't like it as much as I thought that I was gonna, but I still enjoy it because like going into the We Are Yesterday event, I'm like, looking at Perpetua and the Batman who laughs and like seeing these covers. And so in my mind, I'm like kind of flashing back to the Lightning Saga, for example, where it's like JSA and JSA team up and it's like this back and forth, like epic crossover. And that's not really what this is shaping up to be, which makes sense. Like it's still very much like a Batman Superman book, and it's doing a very good job of that. Love the whole like time elements and also how they are solidifying like origin stories and ensuring that like the timeline is succinct. Um, but yeah, it was a solid issue when I take my own kind of baggage out of it, and I really enjoyed it. And it had all the things that, as you know, like you, a hardcore DC fan, like I
Yeah.
like live for. So when I put that stuff like out of my mind and stopped like hoping that it was something that I wanted it to be and just accepted it for what it was, I had a better time with it.
Yeah. We have to walk that line as comic book fans. It's
Hmm.
like, are we getting in the way of our own happiness?
Hmm.
You know?
It's me. I'm starting with the man in the mirror, basically, and I realized I realized that it was I who had to change. But yeah, and so like when I like put, but to be honest, like these past few issues, I've been having to reconcile with that of just like, oh, you were expecting this event, and it could still blow up and be that huge clash like that you expect in these crossovers. But it doesn't have to be that way the whole way through, and it's probably better just in terms of just like the pacing of it. So it's not this like, run and gun type of story that doesn't have these great character beats, because this does have great character beats.
Yeah. Mark Wade really, like, if he specializes in anything, it's character moments, right? It's
Hmm.
those like this one page where this happened and this was referenced and blah blah blah. And might not be for everybody, but like I'm like, okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, because when Dick Grayson said there are more Robins,
Yeah.
that did cross like, oh, do I have a story to tell you? Yeah. So I really love how it does feel catered, and I like that feeling in like how Mark Wade writes. It's like he treats you, and not like a, oh, here's a remember this type of way, but just like a on your same level. Like I appreciate that the same history as everyone else does, and it makes it an enjoyable experience.
Yeah. I feel like Mark Wade, the way he writes, it isn't like he's writing for moments, sure, but it's not a moment like let's see Superman punch Jupiter, like the planet, and like
Hmm.
whatever. But it's
It's mostly
more,
gaseous, so that would be hard.
yeah, I know. But Superman could do it, you
True,
know?
he could blow it.
Yeah. But what was I gonna say? He the moments he does says things about characters. So there's a moment where Superman from the past comes to the present, and then Scarecrow uses toxin on him, and Superman is in his like museum, and he sees his coffin that was for death of Superman, and he hasn't gotten to that point yet. And he's like, they're like, how did you snap out of it? And he's like, I knew it was fake because Scarecrow was showing me something so cliche, which is my own death, and that's ridiculous. And like, but then it shows that it was his coffin that they were showing, you know.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, that's a character moment of Superman, and like, I think writing Superman from the past versus the present is probably a big undertaking as a writer. I can't
Oh yeah,
imagine.
definitely. Yeah, and he really uses irony effectively, and that's what I also enjoy, because like he's showing you things, but also not like ruining it and making it overly convoluted as well. He walks a really tight line, and he
Yeah,
does it very, very well.
yeah. I want to hop to some Marvel stuff before I do want to talk about Superman Unlimited #1. I think it's interesting, a couple of different ways. Is there a big Marvel book that came out that you guys feel like talking about? On our list, it's a lot of DC for this week.
Yeah, I picked up a couple Marvel books and I didn't read either of them.
Okay.
I
Ethan,
picked
did
up
you?
Exceptional X-Men, and that was really good. Like I feel like it kind of like dipped for a bit. Like I was very excited in the beginning, and then like it kind of meandered a bit. But this last issue had, Sinister and Iceman and Emma Frost, and they all kind of came together and had to battle him. and he's one of the big dogs, and that was really exciting because you got to see a side of Emma that I feel like people oftentimes neglect, which is a very like motherly, caring side. Because even though she's seen certain ways as being, dramatic, to say the very least,
Yeah.
she has a big heart and she does care about these ex kids, these young mutants, and so seeing her kind of like, not to spoil it, but sacrifice herself in a sense for them and for this team was really moving. And also where it's going to go for the next issue should be really like revealing about what's kind of going on in her psyche, and there's so much to like pull from.
Yeah.
So overall, this was one of the better issues that the run has had.
Yeah. I just
Mhm.
don't know where it's going. That's my big problem with some of these X titles right now.
Yeah, and like to be fair, I don't mind that so much for Exceptional X-Men, because it does feel almost like day in the life versus like a team like the main X-Men book. But I do agree that I wish that it did have a bit more focus and like concentrated on kind of doing a better job of balancing its characters. Because yes, I do want to see the new kids, but I feel like Iceman and Emma Frost have been underserved in the past. So I feel like this issue did a better job of it. And I'm hoping that from this issue forth, it continues on this track. And knowing what the next synopsis for the following issue is going to be, I have high hopes.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't looked ahead at synopses for the upcoming issues. I try not to look ahead. But okay. All right. I also think it's interesting that like a lot of the X titles are getting, canceled, and then they're gonna they have to come up with more X titles. But like Weapon X-Men is ending, NYX just ended, X Force is ending, X Factor just ended.
Mm-hmm.
That's at least four X titles there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what are they going to bring in then? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Gonna have to restructure.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I mean, Amazing Spider-Man 4, did anyone read that one?
I did.
Are
I
you
really enjoyed it.
liking are you
I'm
like
I'm I'm loving it. And I don't know if it's like because I'm an outsider coming in, but I
yeah.
feel like I have less baggage. It's like different than like DC. When I read Batman, it's like I can't stop my mind from, oh, but what about this? Oh, but he said this here. Oh, but Robin doesn't act like that. Versus this, where it's like I know a healthy amount of Spider-Man, but I don't know the minutia.
Yeah.
you know. Um, but it's also kind of exploring this different area of Peter Parker's life, where it's like almost like pre high school, like it feels like proto Peter, of
Yeah.
him like dealing with Aunt May and Uncle Ben, and like this anger and angst that he has towards them, which you would expect at that age and with the trauma that he went through. And so this exploration of that and how it's kind of colliding with his main job as Spider-Man in the present, and visually, I love the panels and how it's like these two worlds are not in cohesion and they are impacting each other. It's just a visual delight. I love the art. I'm enjoying the story. This was actually probably my second favorite pick of the week.
Okay. I've been liking it. I think that this new run of Amazing Spider-Man is way better. You're right, without the baggage. If you go in without expectations, I think that like it's better, because
Mhm.
people have a bad taste in their mouth from the previous run. Though I didn't hate it, like other people hated it. Like I read it and I read it through, and like whatever. I think this run is a lot better. Um, and I'll be honest, there's a moment with Aunt May and Peter Parker that makes me feel something, and I like when it gives me like touching moments like that.
Mhm.
Um, it wasn't just Peter being angsty. They like literally verbalize why he's angsty, which I
Mhm.
think is good. Instead of making like sometimes you have to spoon feed. You gotta be like,
Mhm.
he's more than just an angsty teen. He lost his parents. Now he's with his uncle and aunt, and he's upset that like they might leave too.
Yeah, that felt very real and grounded.
Yeah,
And I love when that and like, superheroes enmesh, just because it brings it back down to earth while they still have to deal with extraordinary issues. And like
yeah,
when both are operating at like high levels, it just makes the experience that much better.
Yeah. I recommend the new Amazing Spider-Man run. The art is really good. Pepe Larraz, Joe Kelly is writing it. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, I was gonna tell. No, I was gonna go into this other story, but never mind. Drew, what else did you read?
Oh, let's see. You want me to just pick one?
Yeah, pick one.
Or let's talk about New Gods.
Yeah.
It is so that was one that I was behind on. We the last time I was on with Ethan was when the first issue had come out, and we
Mhm.
both read it, and we were both just like, "Yo, this book rules." And
Mhm.
then I like didn't read it after that first issue,
Mhm.
and I kept picking it up, and it was just like I would look into it, like I would. It was kind of like I would kind of open it and then just be like, "All right, this is gonna be a lot. I need to like focus on this." And
Mhm.
then I just kept putting it off and putting it off. And finally, yesterday I read through like 2 through 5.
Mm.
And so that I was ready to read 6. And um, I mean, it's such a cool book. They keep doing like little segments where they're bringing in other artists who are doing like something that maybe takes place in the past or takes place like outside of the main narrative. This one, this issue, kind of that segment of it focused on the black racer, who
Is he
in
still
like
on skis?
it's something like that. Yeah, I mean
Is he rollerblading? I'm looking at the cover right now. Is he rollerblading now, or is
it's
he?
almost like he just kind of glides through the air. That's the way that I was interpreting it.
Yeah.
Um, and
For
yeah, I
anyone
mean,
out there who doesn't know the Black Racer, he's like DC's Silver Surfer means meets death.
yeah, I mean, he is the embodiment of death for the New Gods characters.
Yeah.
He is the god of death on Fourth World,
Mm.
and yeah, I mean, it's like these big like really like cosmic sections that Philip Andrade did,
Yeah.
and it's like they're all really cool. And then you get there's like the continuing story of like there's this war going on New Genesis from this new faction, uh, and then on Earth, like Orion's trying to kill a baby.
I mean, yeah. Orion's gonna Orion.
But I mean,
Um,
like what I like about it, again, this is like Rom V has an approach to certain superhero comics where very similar to what's happening in the Absolute stuff. It's like it's so big and like grandiose that it almost feels like you don't have all the pieces to the puzzle yet.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
I feel like I felt like that with his Detective Comics run, and I feel like that with this too. But in both cases, like there's just enough for me to be like, I just want to like I know that I don't have everything and that can be frustrating, but it feels like it's all going to get there.
Yeah.
And he's just like doing so much to really like emphasize like the mythological portion of the New Gods in a way that like feels very high concept Jack Kirby, but in a very modern like voice.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah. I mean, that's all I can say about it. It's really cool.
I need to catch up. That's all.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best books for me personally. And I actually think like Drew, what you were saying, like it probably worked in your favor to read 2 through 6, like back to back to back, because I feel like getting at least a good chunk of the story versus like I'm coming back each month and having to like tap back into
Yeah.
New God Zone, which is a very specific like level to be on.
Yeah.
Um, and it's definitely a story that's worth rereading to like fully comprehend it. But like you, it's like I am kind of consuming a lot as much as I can, with each read, but there's still so much more. that hasn't been confirmed, but also with Ram V and his style of writing, I just know that it's gonna get there. But with this particular issue, I really enjoyed that like in between world, that like, not alive, not dead, and I think it was called like Waiternum or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it seemed like watercolory,
Hmm.
like, and it was just very like dreamlike and
Which is,
transcendent.
I mean, that's have you ever read The Many Deaths of Layla Starr or Rare Flavors?
Uh, Layla Starr is on my list, but I haven't heard of the other one that you mentioned.
So yeah, that's Ram V and Philip Andrade. Like those are that's their books.
Hmm.
And this is a little bit more like the coloring is a little bit more muted,
Hmm.
but it has that like very watercolory feel to it just throughout.
Okay,
Both
dope. I have to check that out.
I love The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. I teach it in my graphic novels class at school, and like I like demanded that the school order it because I just thought that they didn't have all the stuff in the graphic novels class was all like great books, but they were all like biographies and stuff. And I was just like, we need more fiction, like you can do so much with comics and fiction. Why are we like relegating it to just really like three books? And so I made them order it, and the kids love it every time we read it. So I was really excited to see that that artist was in this book in the beginning. But then like Evan Cagle, the way that he draws like Orion, I think is so cool.
Hmm.
It's like it's recognizable as Orion, but it's also incredibly unique to his style. I've never seen anybody draw Orion like that.
Yeah, it is very distinct, and I like that it gives it its own tone while still like staying true. And that's like a hard balance to pull off, but
Yeah.
he does it.
I got to get back into it. I'll say that. By the way, New History of the DC Universe issue 1 comes out June 25th. So,
Hmm.
if
I'm
anyone's
excited
interested.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
me too.
I'm like really excited about
I
it.
I like those history. I mean, I'm assuming that they're gonna do it similar to like the Marv Wolfman one uh from the 80s or like
Yeah.
the oh, who was it who did the other history of the DC universe?
Right. I know what you're
Hmm.
talking about, but I don't remember.
I can't remember the writer's name. He's great. I really like him. It's the same guy who did the Jace Fox Batman book.
Mm.
I can't remember, but like I loved that book when it came out, where it's like they're in a very distinct style where it's not necessarily a comic, it's mostly like text with supplemental pictures. Um,
Yeah.
which allows them to just pack in so much information.
So I hope it's less like that. I'm fine with that. I'm gonna eat it up anyway. One of my earliest comics that I read, it was in my library, and it was called The Life Story of the Flash
I remember that.
by Iris Allen West. It was written by Barry Allen's wife, and that's what
Mhm.
it says on the title. And then you look into it, turns out it's written by Mark Waid. I didn't know it was written by Mark Waid back then because on the title it's written as
Right.
from the character, right? So it's in comic book form, the life story of the Flash and different moments of Barry Allen's life from beginning to end. And this is before he came back from the dead. And it is also the in-universe book that I believe Iris West writes in the future when she gets stuck in the future after Barry's death. She's alone after Barry's death. She writes that and it comes back in time, I think. So it's like an in continuity book. It is so good that like years later I bought it just to have it on my shelf because I'm like,
Yeah.
this was like an instrumental book. It's what got me into the Flash as a kid. It was seeing that whole thing, and then it kind of ends with like showing a bunch of Flash family people and like who knows what the future will hold is kind of like the ending of the book. It's
Right.
like, or like the future is yet to be written, and like that's like the kind of, and it's so good. I hope it's like that because that was written by Mark Waid also. I hope we get
I,
like comics, you know?
I'll be happy with anything, honestly.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I have full faith that it's gonna be great and everything that I want it to be. So I'm like just keeping an open mind.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For the sake of time, let's get through literally everything else that we read this week. Really quick thoughts on everything. I did want to hit Superman Unlimited because right now I feel like DC is trying to be like, this is canon, this is what we're doing. So not only is there an asteroid of kryptonite coming towards Earth in Superman Unlimited #1, which is a new series for Superman, it flashes a lot back to the past, and it's setting up Lex Luthor's in Smallville when he's a kid. Superboy is in Smallville. Um, it kind of goes over that. Did you guys like this one?
I did. I feel like when I first read it, it's like they got me in the first half, but then the second half because it felt very, status quo, and it's just like resetting it, which is fine. Like it's a #1, and it's going to get new readers, and with the movie coming out, I get it. But then, like the second half, when it was revealed that there's like a kryptonite city, I'm like, oh, well, this changes things. Um, and I'm very fascinated about how this is going to affect the super family because they looked toe up. um
Yeah.
from so like they don't seem to have the same power that they used to if everyone can like oh, here's my kryptonite necklace, here's my kryptonite earring. That puts them in great danger, so I'm curious to see how this is going to change the ecosystem of the DCU.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, have they done this before? I'm not quite sure, but like, where essentially like there's just a lot of kryptonite. And then I think Lana Lang was like stockpiling it when she was running LexCorp. I think there was like some plot line back in the day.
Mhm.
And then in the end, they destroyed all the kryptonite on Earth, and then now we're back to a whole city of kryptonite. All right, cool. We'll see how it goes. They just better not harm crypto.
Or else.
Yeah. Drew, did you read this one or not?
I did read it. I was I was looking forward to it because new Superman book.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, for the last few years, Superman has been like Superman. Almost everything Superman has been really solid at
Yeah.
DC. Like, if you're a Superman fan, it's been a really good time to be reading his books. And so, like, I was just like, hell yeah, just give me more. And I was a tiny bit disappointed with most of this book, not because I thought it was bad, because I didn't think that. It was just kind of like, oh, this isn't a book. This book's not made for me. This book is made for people who need a reintroduction to the Superman story. And going through like the history of, oh, this is who I am, this is what I've done, this is how I got to where I am. And it felt like it was specifically catered to brand new Superman readers.
Yeah.
But there were some really cool, like, little character moments throughout, and I am a sucker for those. So, like, I did enjoy that. And then once it got to the second half, just like what Ethan was saying, I mean, oh, I've been gone for how many months? There's a whole city made like functioning off of kryptonite. Uh, they built that mystery, and I was like, all right, cool.
They're gonna do, and we'll move to other comics. What if they have like a Met Gala in that city where all your fashion is kryptonite, and then they invite Superman, and Superman's like, oh, I don't know.
I love that's where your mind went to the Met Gala.
For some reason, well, because I was trying to extrapolate like vibranium. Like Wakanda has vibranium. They make
Mhm.
vibranium into clothing too. So it's like they would do that with kryptonite, and then Superman's like, "What do I wear to the Met Gala?" And then they're like, "Yeah, it's kryptonite themed." And it's like, oh no,
That's
I don't.
offensive.
Yeah, how can I do that? Let's really hit like 10-second thoughts on some of these these other
Yeah.
ones. Nightwing 126. It's a kind of like a new arc. Last issue was like the start of the new arc. I'm not sure how it's going, but it's dealing a lot with police corruption.
This is the end. It was only a two-issue arc, right? Like this is the end of that arc,
Is
isn't
it
it?
only 2 issues? Because
I
at
I
the
think
end
believe
of
I
at the
thought
end of
so.
this, don't they grab the mask at the end? There's somebody that grabs the mask at the end. It could just be a 2 issue arc that is
I
keeping things
think that it
open for
said that
later
this
stuff.
was that like that was the end of it.
Okay, I'm cool
Yeah,
with
it
that
says
too.
finale. Okay.
All right. But it's not over. Is I think.
No, I mean it's still going, but
Yeah. Do you guys like it or not like it?
I loved it.
I liked it. I feel like I liked the previous arcs more, and this kind of felt like a shifting of gears. And so it took me a second to like acclimate to what the story was doing, but like it is doing a good job of what it's doing,
Yeah.
even though I like the previous arc better.
Yeah. Fair. Next one's Zatanna, issue number 4.
I really like this one. Zatanna is like has a mini break, and she's kind of surrounded by her magical friends who give her the pick me up that she needs because she's going through it right now. And I always like it, much like with Spider-Man, how they will take time to be like, they're human, they're dealing with stuff, they're not going to be perfect all the time, and we're going to like pick them up, and then they will defeat the villain.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good.
I don't like it when they overdo too many like real stuff, but like when they throw it in, when they sprinkle it in, I'm like, yeah.
Mm.
Have we ever seen a superhero do their taxes? Like, what's a write-off? Can you write like can they write things off on their taxes? I don't know. I don't know. How it
Not
works.
without revealing their identity.
That's true. But
Sure.
does Zatanna have a secret identity?
I don't know. I don't think that she does.
No, because she's like a stage magician. She's like
Yeah.
a celebrity, essentially.
Yeah. Somebody brought up online which superheroes pay their taxes versus not pay their taxes. Like, does everybody? Do they really? I don't know. Do they like? And what do they declare? I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna derail this whole episode. Let's keep moving on. Did you guys read Batman and Robin Year 1, number 7?
It was one
I
of the
did
ones I
not.
didn't get to.
Me neither.
Okay. Yeah, I've read the first couple of issues and I like it. You know, I do. I just I didn't get to this. I'm falling behind, so a little tough. Detective Comics 1097, written by Tom Taylor.
I liked this issue a lot.
Yeah, me too. I like
I like
Harvey
Harvey
Bullock.
Bullock, and it was very Harvey Bullock centric, and also it. I mean, people have I've seen a lot of criticisms of Tom Taylor that he's not subtle in like the messaging that he does.
Mm,
I just feel like he makes it work.
mm,
hmm I would agree with that. I feel like he has a style, and personally, like I feel like his message, it doesn't feel heavy-handed. It feels necessary to me personally. Like I don't feel like I'm being hit over the head with something. It can be explanatory, but also it doesn't feel overdone. And I like that we got Harvey Bullock. He's very easy to like write in like a very like boxed in way.
Yeah.
And I prefer him to have like characterization and depth and growth, and that's what we got this issue.
I
yeah.
think yeah, I think when just going back to Tom Taylor's like writing style, I think his dialogue is really strong, and that's
Mhm.
why like uh he's able to get away with like yeah, it's not he's not bashing you over the head, but it ain't exactly like what he's trying to say isn't exactly hidden in the book.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, but like all the characters and the characters like voices feel natural and
Mhm.
everybody feels unique and stuff like that, and so it just kind of like it works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Um yeah, shout out to the Banana Bad out there for saying thanks for the content. You're welcome. Um really quick, again, we got to do 10-second stuff as we move in. Wonder Woman 21. I I don't bash on Tom King like other like a lot of Wonder Woman fans aren't really liking it. I like this issue. Uh I liked this issue. There was a god being murdered. There was a legitimate mystery. Wonder Woman was there. I liked it.
I really like I really liked the way that Batman and Wonder Woman talked about Steve Trevor in
Yeah,
this. And like the way that she describes feeling love for a person, I thought was great.
yeah. Also, I just like the little piece of lore that says Ares and Aphrodite don't have sex. Ares cries to her.
Yeah.
Like
It
he's able
sounds
to
like
be.
Succession.
Is
with
that?
It it kind of, I mean, that kind of is how he's writing the pantheon, the Greek
I
pantheon. Yeah.
mean, kind of, yeah. So
He's Roman from Succession. I'm not for anybody
is there a
watching
character
Succession.
named Roman?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Ultimates number 12. I read this one. I don't think you guys read this one.
Didn't get to it.
Uh, I think the last couple of issues are mine to talk about real quick. Ultimates issue 12. It's just a bunch of characters talking around a table for the whole issue. It works. Not my favorite issue. But you know, there's a twist at the end that people might be interested in. Fantastic Four 32 is a good issue. Not one of the best of the Fantastic Four run. It's very Valyria focused. I don't know whether I liked this issue. It's structurally sound, but I don't know. Titans 23. I love the art. I love the writing. It is kind of what I want with like a late 20s in my head. The Titans are in their like late 20s, mid to late 20s. I like what's going on with this. That's my quick thought there. DC X Sonic the Hedgehog is really good. The only downside of this issue number 3, is that the Justice League aren't in it. But what's cool is it's Sonic and his team dressed up like the Justice League, patrolling the DC Earth, which I think it's really cute and true to the characters, and it works. And then, I mean, shout out to Superior Avengers issue number 2. It's a very interesting first issue that I wanted to read the second issue, but I only got a couple pages in and I didn't get to finish. It's One World Under Doom. What can I say? So that's it. I think that's everything on our list this week.
I think
Yeah,
so.
that's it for me.
All right. We got through it, everybody. Success. Success, kid. Thank you guys so much for coming on this show and talking comics, because we all read and we all talk, and we're all on this show. So thank you guys so much. Before we get going, though, Ethan, where can we find you? What do you got coming up? Anything you want to plug?
I'm on TikTok. It's Virgo Blade, Blue Sky, Insta, Twitter, and just more of the same stuff. Going to talk more comics, more TV shows, more movies, and yeah, just tune in for all that stuff.
Awesome. Drew, what about you?
TikTok, Blue Sky, Instagram. I don't really talk comics on Instagram, but it's all Drew X Deficit. Find me there. My band just put out an album. It's called Like Heaven. That's the name of the band. So you can find that on the internet, in record stores. Maybe if you have like an indie record store that does like punk stuff around. I'll be in Louisville, Kentucky, playing a show in July. And I will be at Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina, in a couple weeks next month. So I don't know, maybe I'll run into people who know me from the internet.
Awesome. That's always fun. Thank you, both of you. For anyone who wants to follow me personally, you can follow me at This Is Dimithri on social media. That's for me personally. But I would rather just redirect you. If you don't care a damn about me, that's okay. I'd rather redirect you guys to everything that the Keeg offers. The Keeg is the channel. Comic Talk is just one of the shows that we do. It's our most stable, consistent show, Comic Talk, where we talk about comics every Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on youtube.com/The Keeg Show or twitch.tv/The Keeg Show, or wherever you get your podcasts from, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, SoundCloud. We're on all that. But if you want to find The Keeg on social media, you can find us at The Keeg Show on TikTok and Instagram. Those are our two biggest ones. But we're also on Blue Sky, Threads, all that stuff. At The Keeg Show/The Keeg Show. Wherever you can find The Keeg, we are out there. This is Comic Talk. It's just one of the many shows that we do. So follow us on social media, and keep up with the other shows and this one and the many other things that we do. If you are watching us, like, comment, subscribe, follow, do all that stuff over there, over here. Let us know you're out there. Shout out to the Banana Bad. Shout out to Val on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching us. Support your local comic shops. Go to comicshoplocator.com. Find a comic shop near you. Support your local comic shops. And support your local public libraries, because you can also get comics there. And even if you couldn't, you should still support your local public libraries. That is pretty much it. Yeah, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you, everybody out there, for watching. Once again, I am your host, Dimithri Perera, and this has been Comic Talk for the week of May 22nd, 2025. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace out.